Good evening, everyone. If I could have your attention. All right. My name is Allison Putman, and I'm a Galveston County Precinct Chair, a Republican Precinct Chair from Precinct 166. Myself and Rose Harvey, we have organized this forum. We saw a gap in the availability of candidates to get out in the community and be heard, so we organized this. We are so grateful to the Pine Drive Baptist Church for opening their space here, and we absolutely appreciate it. We have a great lineup for you tonight, and I'd like to tell you just quick little story, but very quickly. In Galveston County, we need candidates to run to challenge the existing infrastructure. And we have a great group of candidates that are running, and we really hope that you learn a lot tonight. If you want to ask a question, there are forms out on the music stand where you can write down a question, but we invite you to do that. KGTX 7 News has graciously accepted the opportunity to host this forum, and we have Joe Sam, who's going to be our moderator here tonight, and I'm going to pass it off to him to tell you a little bit about how tonight's going to go. So thank you for coming.
I want to first start by saying, give a round of applause to yourselves and all of the candidates that are here tonight. I really do appreciate you guys coming out and taking the time out to be able to listen to what's being asked of these candidates here tonight. So go ahead and give a round of applause to yourselves. It is going to be a great night. We had an influx of questions coming in that we are going to presenting to each one of the candidates. We will want to explain the rules for everyone that comes up here tonight. So whenever you see each one of the candidates come up, they're going to open up with their speeches. Each candidate is going to get 2 minutes for their speech. We'll jump into the questions and then ask some of the community questions that were submitted online as well as here tonight. Following that, they're each going to do a 2-minute close. For the candidates that are going to be up here, we will be giving you guys some cues whenever we do need you to start wrapping up. Following that, we want the next race to come up and then do the same process. For everyone that submitted questions tonight, we will try to get as much questions answered as possible. If those who have not had their questions answered, we will try and have those presented to the candidate so that they can answer that to you directly. So with that being said, we're going to get our first 2 candidates to come up to the stage for District Attorney. Okay, so since we only have one candidate here tonight, we're going to go ahead and have Ms. Jennifer Ott start with her opening speech. You're going to receive 2 minutes to do so.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I am Jennifer Ott. I am running to be your next Galveston County District Attorney. I worked at the Galveston County DA's office for over 18 years. I've spent my entire career working for this county. After I left in 2022, I became a defense attorney doing court appointments here in Galveston County, but for the last 2 years, I've been a misdemeanor mental health public defender. I have tried everything from a speeding ticket to a capital murder and everything in between. I have the support of law enforcement, local law enforcement here. I have the support of 2 of our county commissioners, Daryl Atfel and Joe Giusti. I have spent my life growing up. I was born and raised on the island, and I absolutely cannot wait to make you all proud to be your next district attorney.
Let's get into the first question. How would you work across party lines to accomplish your goals if elected?
So the thing about the DA's office is that there really should not be party lines in the DA's office. At the end of the day, we serve the public. I have never gotten a call at 3 o'clock in the morning telling me I needed to be out at a scene of somebody that's been killed and said, hey, are they Republican or Democrat? So I have always, my entire career, never worked because it's a political office. I've worked because it's an office that keeps our community safe, and I will continue that and make sure that everybody that works under me understands that we are here for the entire community, no matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or any other, political party.
Thank you for that answer. What principle guides your decision-making when facing pressure from donors, party leaders, or public opinion?
So I was the chief of the public integrity section for 5 years. The last 5 years I was at the DA's office. I am beholden to no one but our Constitution and my family. And even some people in my family may say, I'm a little worried that if I do anything wrong here, I'm going to be in trouble. But that being said, I do not succumb to pressure. I will not succumb to pressure. I am, like I said, I'm beholden to nobody, and I want to make sure that everybody knows that at the end of the day, the DA's office is there for them, and that I'm not going to do something because somebody gave me a donation or somebody promised me something, because that's not what a DA's office should be about.
Speaking of donations, as of today, who is your largest campaign donor, and how do you ensure transparency in your campaign finance reporting?
Well, I make sure everything is reported. I have reported every in-kind donation that I've had. I have been on time with all of my campaign donations. I think my largest campaign donation at this time, I've gotten a couple of $5,000 checks from some restaurant owners in Galveston. I grew up there. They know me. They know my family. It has nothing to do with anything other than just supporting me and my vision. So I make sure that all of those are documented whenever they're supposed to be turned in. I'm never shy if somebody asks me, hey, has this person given you money? And I've also turned down money from people because I never wanted it to look like there was an appearance of me taking money from somebody that could come back later and haunt me, right? So.
Thank you for that answer. We're going to move into your qualifications. What specific qualifications or experiences make you uniquely qualified to serve in this position?
So like I said before, I was with the DA's office for over 18 years, and actually a little bit before that. I started as an intern back in 2001 under Mike Garino at the DA's office. When I started there, I thought I never wanted to do criminal law, but I realized very quickly that this was a passion and a love that I had. And so the minute I graduated from law school and the minute I got my law license, I went straight back there. I started in the misdemeanor division. I was in the misdemeanor division for 9 months before I was actually promoted to the felony division. In the felony division, I was a felony 2, handling child abuse cases, handling aggravated assaults, motions to revoke probation, and other low-level felony crimes. About a year into that tenure, I became number 2 prosecutor in the child abuse division, where I was handling more high-profile child abuse cases. After about 6 months, I became a felony chief. So within 2 years, I was a felony chief in the DA's office, which I know sounds crazy. But luckily, at that point in time, we had people that had a ton of experience that I knew I could go to if I needed advice. So like I've said, I've tried close to 80 felony trials as a first chair. That does not count all the trials I sat with my number 2 and my number 3 when I was there. I understand how to talk to the judges, talk to the court coordinators, speak to everybody in the justice, in the Justice Center, because they know me and I've grown up there. And in fact, I'm fairly certain I could say the majority of everybody in the Justice Center is supporting me.
Thank you for that. We're going to go into a popular question that was being asked. If elected, would you support expanding Hope Court eligibility to include qualified DUI and drug cases? Why or why not?
So yeah, that is an interesting question. My issue with DWIs is it's twofold. Number one, typically when you get into Hope Drug Court, that's a felony offense, which means by the time somebody, if we expanded it to DWIs, by the time somebody is going into, say, a DWI court, they have a felony DWI. We do have a system in Galveston County now where you can get, one, we can now get deferred probation to DWIs as a misdemeanor, but also there is a program where you can get, pretrial diversion. And so if you've had no history and you get pretrial diversion, then that comes off of your record. That being said, those can be used later to enhance them to higher offenses. My concern is, especially living in this area and close to the island, the amount of DWI accidents that we have, the amount of intoxication manslaughters we have, and intoxication assaults. It's something that I would absolutely look into, but I can't say today that that's something I would absolutely say yes to, because there's a lot of other factors I have to look into for that.
Thank you for that. Now, would you support legislation to prohibit the use of taxpayer funds for hiring lobbyists at the state level? Why not?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that the question you had earlier was, how do you deal with donations and that sort of things? When you're dealing with lobbyists and they're actually have people lobbying for you and giving you donations, I think, no, you feel beholden to people, and you need to be beholden to the people.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move into some of the questions submitted by the community members here and online. The first question: what would you do differently than the current DA?
So it's hard for me to say what I do differently from the current DA because he's only been there for the last 4 months. I will say that over the span of time that I've been out of the office, the accountability and integrity have been lost. And I have not seen that change in the last 4 months that my opponent has been there. The relationships with law enforcement are gone. And I think that is the main reason, one of the main reasons that most local law enforcement are endorsing me. And the relationship with victims was lost under the prior administration, and that has definitely not come back. I have victims in this room right now that have been asking for meetings with the current DA, and they have not been given them. And those are major profile cases like Santa Fe High School, which is the biggest tragedy that we ever had in our community. And they can't even get a meeting with this current administration as well. So my focus has always been victims, and then also making sure that our relationships with law enforcement were strong, because if you don't have a good relationship with law enforcement, our entire system breaks down. Because at the end of the day, we work together to make sure that if something bad happens, that person is held accountable for it. And we also make sure that if we have a victim that needs to be contacted and talked to, that we work together to make sure that's done. Because all of those things together is how we get a conviction and how we make sure that people that deserve to be in prison are in prison.
Thank you for that answer. That covers the next question that I had for you. The final question on this one here is, what made you become Republican as you voted Democrat in the last 2 primaries?
So I've been a Republican my entire life. The first person I ever voted for when I was able to vote was George W. Bush. So I find it kind of comical that that's what they have against me. I voted in a primary. That does not say what I did in the general election. And we have open primaries in Texas. We can vote in either party. I have been a conservative my entire life. Being a prosecutor, it's kind of hard not to be a conservative. You're putting people in prison. You are making sure that people are held accountable for wrongdoings. And so, I find it comical that that is the big thing that they have against me, but I think that's all they got.
Thank you for that. Moving on to another question. Given your opponent's lack of experience in the DA's office, what do you feel and how do you feel about tonight that he did not find it necessary to attend this forum? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I'm going to just say this. I have ran this campaign as above board as I can because I don't like to talk bad about people. That's just not my personality. But I will say this. The community deserves the people that are going to be there for them to get to know them. The community has gotten to know me my entire life. They have gotten to know me my entire 22 years of career here, serving Galveston County. They've gotten to know me the last 3 years as I've ran for office. And by that I mean I'm in different Republican women's groups. I'm in different Republican groups. I'm in civic clubs. I'm in Rotary, Kiwanis. I'm on different boards. I'm the president of the board of the Independence Village. I am on the Ada House board. I am also on other boards and do things throughout the community. And that's not because I'm running for office. That has everything to do with the fact that when I left the DA's office, because as an ADA, you're super busy. You're trying cases all the time. But when I left there in 2022, I was able to have the opportunity to actually get out in the community and help in other ways. And so I think it's very telling, and it should be very telling for people to see that somebody who is asking for your vote and somebody who is asking for your respect and your time doesn't even show up. Because I show up every day, and I've showed up every day for 22 years.
I believe you touched on some of this already, but I'm going to go ahead and make sure I answer and get an answer for all of the community members' questions tonight. What have you learned about yourself during the last 3 years since you left GODA? How will that help you lead the office next year?
So I never in a million years thought I'd be a defense attorney because I am a prosecutor at heart. But when I left the DA's office, I knew I wanted to stay in Galveston County and still work for the people of Galveston County. I knew the system, I knew the judges, I knew everybody in the criminal justice center. So I decided, I need to get to understand how the entire system works. So like I said, I opened my own practice for a little bit and tried and dealt with appointed felony cases all the way down to misdemeanors. And it really did open my eyes to see how we could all work together to make the system work faster, how the system can work better. I didn't know anything about bonds other than I know how to, set them real high, but I didn't know how to get somebody out of jail or what you would need to do to do that. And then in my new position at the Galveston County Misdemeanor Mental Health Public Defender's Office, it has given me an opportunity to also get back to my roots of helping people, because we are trying to make sure that those, criminal trespasses by people who have mental health issues, which we all know is a huge issue in our society, that those criminal trespasses don't turn into a burglary of a habitation. So we're trying to get them services, and we're trying to do the things we can do to make sure that our community is safer by doing that. So I think it is I'm so glad that I did it, and I thank the Lord every day for kind of giving me that opportunity that I never thought I would do, because it really has made me a better person, and it has made me a better leader to make sure that this office is led with somebody who understands the entire system.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to your last question before we go to your 2-minute close.
Okay.
I believe you touched on this as well, but I do want to make sure that it is asked of you. What do you think you could do differently in regards to the Santa Fe High School shooting?
So Santa Fe High School shooting is near and dear to my heart. I was the on-call DA the day of the shooting. I walked through the halls. I went into the classrooms before they were even cleared. So I've been there since day one. I've seen all the evidence. I know everything about that case like the back of my hand. What those families have been through was so tragic on May 18th, but every day after has been a tragedy for them. And the lack of communication that they've had over the years is absolutely unacceptable. When There are some of them that when they met with the current DA, immediately met with me after because they knew that I understood and knew where they were coming from. And I continue to talk to them on a weekly basis, a lot of them. And I want them to feel that they know the person that is handling that case. Now, as far as how to handle it differently, unfortunately, our hands are really tied right now because he is not competent to stand trial. But there are different things and avenues that we can look at to try to, and I think they are doing that as far as maybe changing some of his therapy and things of that nature. But like I said, I've been there since day one. I'm ready to go home and close this case out for them. And I'm ready to make sure that they get the justice that they deserve and those children and those two teachers get the justice they deserve.
Thank you for that. So we're going to go ahead and move into your 2-minute close before moving on to the next race.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you all for coming out tonight. Like I said, I'm Jennifer Ott. I'm running to be your next Galveston County District Attorney. And I am so excited about this race. I have had so much good feedback. People are excited for me, and that makes me excited. I'm excited for our future in Galveston County. I'm excited about being able to be the one that brings justice and the community back together. People are at a point with our justice system where they don't trust us. They don't trust the police, they don't trust the DA's office, and I don't want that for our community. We're better than that. I want to make sure that I am transparent. I want to make sure that people understand that I will be accountable for anything I ever do in my office. And if it's one of my assistant DAs, I want them to know that, I am accountable for what they do because I trust them to do the right thing. And the DA's office is there to make sure that justice is done. That's the oath that I took back in 2004, and it is the oath that I will take again in 2027 when I get sworn in January.
I was just going to say, everyone give a round of applause for candidate Jennifer Ott for District Attorney. Thank you again for being here tonight. As we get ready for our next race, which is going to be for County Judge, candidate Mark Henry and candidate Chris Kennard, get ready to here we go. We're actually going to move to the House Representative District 23. So let's go ahead and get our representatives up for each one of those as we reset. And we're going to get ready to flip to see who goes first in their opening speech. And one more announcement. During the questioning, we want to make sure that everyone in the audience, please silence your cell phones so that we can make sure we hear everything that the candidates have to say. Okay, so we did the coin flip, and we're going to have candidate Wilson lead first. Candidate Watkins, you're going to go following that. So let's start with the opening speech. Again, each one of you are going to receive 2 minutes for your opening speech before diving into the questions. Let's go ahead and begin.
Okay. I'm running on my record, a record that ranks me as one of the top 10 conservatives in the House. I advanced 36 RPT priority bills in just my first 2 terms. Bills including removing the affirmative defense for children exposed to harmful content, I also ensured that no men are in women's private spaces, no foreign hostile takeover of Texas land, securing the grid, my anti-squatters bill, pro-life legislation, ending gender mutilation and transitioning of minors, adoption legislation, border security, law enforcement, and bail reform. I co-authored the bill to end epic cities, which creates enclaves that were ripe for Sharia law and gave the authority to the Attorney General to enforce. I helped pass legislation to secure our elections, require proof of citizenship to vote, and give the AG the ability to prosecute election fraud. These are real results. I have the endorsement of DPS and CLEAT. I voted for over $20 billion in tax relief, raising senior exemptions, individual exemptions, and personal business property exemptions. I voted for the budget that contained $51 billion of property tax relief. My endorsements are President Trump, Governor Abbott, Cruz, all 4 county commissioners in Galveston, Senator Middleton and Dr. Bonin, and the entire Republican House caucus. But most important, I have the boots on the ground endorsements of overwhelming the GOP chairman. I have 13 in Chambers County, he has 3. I have 49 in Galveston County precinct chair endorsements, and he has 1. And he has been campaigning and mudslinging here in Galveston County since October. I have every last pro-life, pro-family, pro-liberty, Second Amendment, medical freedom, pro-taxpayer, limited government, industry, oil, gas, farming, small business endorsement. These are conservative policy groups that advocate for policy, and they are looking for how you voted, what bills you carried. These are earned endorsements. They are not paid for. They're based on my performance and my voting record. My opponent downplays endorsements, but because he doesn't have any. My opponent did not fill out the iVoter Guide, the most comprehensive voter guide in Texas, so that voters could see his record on the stance on issues that you care about. If he's hiding what he promises to do now on policy, how will you hold him accountable to policy positions when he has to vote on them? If he is lying to you now, and I've seen the mailboxes are full today. If he's lying to you now about my record, what will he lie about to you when he's elected? My voting record on law enforcement, ending Sharia law, property taxes are all on my table, and you can pick those up at the end. I'll be welcome to talk to anybody.
Candidate Wilson, thank you for that. Candidate Watkins, your 2 minutes begins.
All right, my name's Nathan Watkins. I'm running for state representative because I've been delivering results for taxpayers for years, tackling tough issues. I'm a special operations veteran who served in Iraq, deploying alongside SEAL Team 6 and Delta Force, removing high-value threats from the battlefield, ensuring our nation's safety. Whenever I came home, I continued public service as a city manager. I started out as an intern at the city of Mont Belvieu, mulching playgrounds and weed eating and mowing the city parks, and working in the city manager's office after lunch. From there, I grew into ultimately serving in the city manager role. During that decade of my tenure in city of Mont Belvieu, we accomplished great things. We grew the economy by $4 billion, we created tens of thousands of jobs, and we delivered $200 million in infrastructure. But one of the things I'm most proud of is we ended property taxes for our seniors. We took that growth that came to Mont Belvieu and we raised exemptions. Today, 81% of seniors in Mont Belvieu pay $0 in property taxes. The county saw how effective that policy was and they adopted. Today in Chambers County, 86% of seniors pay $0 in property taxes. That's real property tax relief, but that's in the confines of existing law. That's not enough. During this campaign, I've knocked on, with my team, which is here tonight, some of them are here, we've knocked on 20,000 doors in Chambers and Galveston County. The number one thing we hear from voters when we meet them at their front door is, we need real property tax relief. We don't need to work inside the existing confines. We need new legislation that's not punitive. People don't want to rent their homes from the government for the rest of their lives. They've paid property taxes the entire time they've owned their home, and they're tired of paying them. We've got to bring new tools to bear. We've got to consider all options. We've got to look at sales tax. We've got to look at capping appraisals and keeping our home prices where they need to be. You've heard a lot of talk about me from my opponent, and I try to stay on track and let you hear from me because I really think that's most important. But I'm in this race because I was asked to run by the locally elected officials that have endorsed me. I was asked to get in from public education officials in Chambers County, locally elected officials in Chambers County, locally elected officials in Galveston County, and her peers in the state house who's had the pleasure of working with her. They've encouraged me to run because right now House District 23 is being neglected. I'm running not for a title, but to serve you, and I'll only do that as long as you ask me to. This is not something I'll plan on doing forever. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Before we dive into the questions, I do want to make sure the audience understands that this here is not an amen, it's a rap. So I want to make sure everyone understands that. Let's go into the first question. This is again going to be the general questions before we dive into the community questions. How would you work across party lines to accomplish your goals if elected? Each one of you are going to be able to respond to that question.
Which one goes first?
You can go first.
I already do that. One of the very first things we do is my office staff has probably the most interns of any. We had 9 this last session. My chief of staff loves training new people. We need new people. We need young people involved in government. And the very first job I give them is to scrub all the Democrat bills. Not because I want to see what I'm opposed to, but to see what I can build bridges with. To see the things that we have in common, the things that I could help them with, because that pays off when it comes time to try to get 76 votes for your bill. I'm notorious for going across the bill. I had one of the most important bills this session that was made a priority by the speaker. All of my House members are supporting me. That is not true. And so I build bridges. I traveled to 150 offices. Every last member, I even got Democrat support on that bill because of that, because I could tell them the values. They didn't agree with all of the bills, but they were like, you are one of the few that come to my office, explain your bills, and ask for my support, even if I'm a Democrat, even if I'm a far left Democrat and you're a far right conservative. There's things that we can find that we can work together on. I'm notorious for that, and that's why I pass a whole lot of bills, and I'm just prolific in that way.
Thank you for that. Candidate Watkins, we're going to ask you the same question. How would you work across party lines to accomplish your goals if elected?
So my first priority in serving as your state representative is to represent the people of this district. No matter whether they're Democrat or Republican, I will prioritize the people of the district and what they want first. I won't silence the people of this district. I won't hide their comments. I won't block them online. I'll listen and I'll go and I'll educate and I'll advocate on behalf of them at the legislature. As I'm working with my peers in the legislature, I'm happy to welcome them over to the conservative side of the party as long as they bring good conservative values through their bills that they want to put forward. Happy to support them there. And one thing that I should note, as my opponent has said, she is supported by the caucus Republicans that allowed vice chairs, Democrat vice chairs in the House, which goes against our priorities as Republicans, and it's something that shouldn't be allowed, and I won't vote for it next session.
Thank you for that. Speaking of qualifications now, we're going to go with you, Candidate Wilson. First, what specific qualifications, skills, or experiences make you uniquely qualified to serve in this position?
I think the number one candidate or quality for every public servant is care about the people that you serve. I and my husband came here to retire. We had not intended to do this, but we really prayed about it, felt like God called us to it. We have enjoyed it. We have made so many great friendships across the aisle. Same thing, I don't ask if you're a Democrat or Republican when I went to help the shrimpers. I didn't ask if you were Republican or Democrat when I helped UTMB with the 3-share plan or with the ibogaine study for people with PTSD. That does not matter to me. I care about the people I serve. I'm well known. I promised you 4 years ago that I would be everywhere at everything, and I really am. We are retired. This is our full-time job. I'm a full-time state representative. We put our whole life and our whole passion into serving people. That's just who we are. We've done that for the very beginning of our lives. I started at 24 in public service, free of charge, just going to my city council, school board meetings, and that's just who I am. The other thing, and you may or may not like it, but I tell you the truth. I will absolutely tell you what I think about bill ideas. I will tell you how we can get them through, but I keep my word, I keep my honest, and I never would run on a campaign saying that somebody voted against property tax relief when they co-authored the bill and passed it. I would never say on a campaign trail, and some of you got the text today that, I support sex offenders. I mean, those things are outrageous. I co-authored those bills. I was at that bill signing for that very bill with Governor Abbott. I was with him yesterday as he presented his 5-point plan, which I support, and many of those pieces were already in my legislation on property tax relief. I support appraisal caps. We have had a very hard time getting a hearing on those. I support rate caps. My opponent went to Austin to testify against uniform elections on bonds. He testified against budget transparency in local municipalities, but more important, he testified against having a 3% rate cap before your municipality or county has to come back and ask your permission to go beyond that. Didn't say they couldn't go beyond it, but they had to take a vote of the people to do so. And he opposed that bill and worked against it. He also opposes banning taxpayer-funded lobbyists, and they are the number one problem why we can't get things done around the House and in the Senate. And Senator Middleton has carried that bill in the Senate. I carried it in the House. It's a Galveston County priority, and it's also a Republican Party priority.
Thank you. Candidate Watkins, we're going to ask the same question of you. What specific qualities, skills, or experiences make you uniquely qualified to serve in this position?
One of the things that makes me uniquely qualified to serve in this role is I answer the questions that I'm asked. I don't talk about taxpayer-funded lobbying whenever you ask me what my qualifications are. When somebody doesn't answer the question, maybe it's because they have something to hide or something to dodge, or maybe they're not qualified for the position. I have deep roots in this district. I'm from Chambers County. I grew up in Galveston County. My wife went to Galveston Community College, UTMB. We were married in Galveston. She worked at Fisherman's Wharf on the Strand. We had our wedding reception at Willie G's. I turned 30 at Yaga's on the short bus, if anybody's had the great fortune of spending time down there doing that. Mike Dean told me that he's got dirt on me because he keeps all of his cameras right there. But that matters, and having deep root matters because you share the values of the community you're representing. I didn't move into this district 4 years ago just to run for office. My entire professional career makes me qualified. I've been a leader in every role I've had. I've served in the United States Navy as a flight deck firefighter and ship's navigation on an aircraft carrier. I've deployed downrange as a special operations sailor, conducting operations along the Euphrates River between Ramadi and Fallujah, removing high-value targets, Tier 1 level terrorists from the battlefield. I came back home, I continue to serve. There's a significant difference between voting and doing. I spent a decade doing, administering local taxes, growing the economy, creating jobs, not just voting on it and coming back 2 years later and trying to fix what we didn't get done the first time right. We did it right, and we did it by the residents in our community. Now, those are my qualifications. I've been a leader my entire life, and I'm ready to serve you as a leader as your next state representative. And in regards to what you've heard here tonight about property tax caps and SB2, I went to Austin and communicated as a city manager that we didn't need Austin to tell us how to run our city. We were already lowering our property taxes. That was my testimony. And just like Texas tells the federal government, we don't need DC telling Texas how to run Texas. That's my testimony, and that was my job, to represent the people that I was put in place to represent and asked by the mayor and council to go and advocate and educate on behalf. And regarding the taxpayer-funded lobbying, everybody in this room is smart. We haven't educated voters in this district. We know that teachers, police chiefs, and fire chiefs, and city managers, as I were, are not lobbyists. Lobbyists wear suits, they have Austin addresses, and they show up at the legislature working every day to affect bills. I showed up in Austin to educate and advocate our legislature that city managers and police chiefs and sheriff's deputies are not taxpayer-funded lobbyists. And since that time, Senator Middleton has amended the bill to include that language and say, yes, you're right. Public safety officials should be able to come down and educate and advocate on those bills. The residents of this district should be able to show up. That goes back to my first statement. I will never suppress the voice of the people in this district. I will stand up and I will always educate and advocate on your behalf because that's what you've put me in office to do.
Thank you for that. Going into the campaign leadership now, we're going to go ahead and start with you, Candidate Wilson. When your final campaign report is filed, what campaign professionals or firms will be listed as managing or consulting for your campaign? Who is currently advising or running your campaign?
Actually, I am my own campaign manager. I have always been. Even the 3 terms that I served on the State Board of Education, my campaign consultant is Jordan Berry. I do want to, with the time left, I answered the question, and so Mike Dean, that he keeps name dropping, he name dropped him last night, is endorsing my candidacy. As far as spending caps, the state budget has spending caps. We cannot spend more than revenue than we take in. Why not should the state now come back to local municipalities and counties and say the exact same thing? People are sick and tired. The root problem of property taxes is overspending by local governments. Property taxes, as you know, are on the local level. The state does not set your rates. We do not collect property taxes. We do not spend your property taxes. But the people are crying out for help. Okay, they are losing their homes. I know that you have heard that same thing on that campaign trail. I hear it every day as an elected office holder. We have got to put spending limits on local municipalities. And that is one piece of Governor Abbott's plan. The other is that you'll only have an appraisal every 5 years. In the House side, we passed those appraisal caps. We cannot get a hearing in the Senate. But when Governor Abbott announced, and I was with him on his layout of the 5-point plan, and if you want to go to my Facebook page, you can see that. It's also on the Fox. It's also on the Fox Channel News. Any link that you want, I can send it to you. Just see me afterwards, and I'll point you there. But that was a key point of his plan: is that we have to cap that appraisal cap at 3% so that you, as a taxpayer, have consistency. You know what your appraisal value is going to be for these 5 years. You know it's not going to go above the 3% cap each and every year. I support those reforms. I have always supported those reforms. I carry also the eliminate property tax bill, but that's what that $51 billion is for, is to buy down the M&O portion of your school property taxes, which is your most expensive piece on your property tax bill. We will continue to do that. We will continue to use that surplus to buy that down. That makes your rate go down. We're making up that as a state. So we will continue on that trajectory. Do I think that's going to happen and we are going to eliminate property taxes this session? Probably not, but we are working our way towards it. We have 65 Democrats who only need 11 Republicans to vote with them to kill any bill or advance any bill. It is not an easy thing to pass a bill, and so those are the things that we will continue to work for, and that we the people, have to send people who have a record of voting on those issues back to Austin, and then send us more.
Thank you. Candidate Watkins, we're going to go to some community questions that they have in for you.
Would you like me to answer that one, or was that just for her?
It was just for her.
Oh.
We'll move on to this one here.
Okay.
Is it accurate that changes were initiated during your time in Mount Bellevue that reduced or eliminated volunteer positions within the fire department? If so, what factors influenced that decision?
Say it again.
Is it accurate that changes were initiated during your time in Mount Bellevue that reduced or eliminated volunteer positions within the fire department? If so, what factors influenced that decision?
Yeah, so that's a question I didn't expect, so I appreciate you asking it. The Mount Bellevue, whenever I started, was a fully volunteer service with a paid fire chief that was over fire and EMS. During that time, we had transitioned as the city continued to grow, and we added paid staff to supplement our volunteer staff so that we could keep our response times down and reduce our ISO rating, which reduces everybody's insurance rates on their home cost. So we were effective in doing that. The great thing about Mount Bellevue is the majority of the housing stock there is all brand new. We had an average of 1.2 home fires annually, and we had a great professionally trained volunteer staff because 90+% of them worked at our oil and gas industry and were cross-trained in industrial firefighting. But we also had we implemented plans to have the highest retirement of any volunteer service around, and we had some of the highest volunteer pay for times when they were at service. So we had tremendous benefits for our volunteers. They were a priority to the city of Mont Belvieu. They continue to be a hybrid service, but no, we did not reduce volunteer fire position while I was there. We supplemented with paid staff.
Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
This is going to be for both of you. I'll go ahead and start with candidate Wilson first. What is your opinion on casino gambling?
I voted no. Last night in our forum, my opponent mentioned that would be all left up to you and that you would, that it would be on the statewide ballot. That is not, in fact, true. How the legislature process works, that's a constitutional amendment, and that is one reason why we didn't put, like, school choice on a ballot, because it's not a constitutional change. Gambling is, and so it will require a 2/3 vote of both chambers and then the governor to pass in order for it to be on the ballot of the people. So I voted no when we got 2/3, but I will continue to vote no on that issue. I am not funded by Sands Gambling Casino that has their largest base out of China now. What I'm very concerned about is that somebody from Chambers County that does not live here, when the casino gambling comes to call in their favor for funding and putting you into office, are you going to protect San Leon? Are you going to protect the island or Bolivar Peninsula? Those are the 3 locations that they have in mind for that. I do not want it on a statewide ballot. I will vote no, because I don't want the state deciding what happens in House District 23. I'm not opposed to gambling. I'm opposed to all of the things that it brings in. Law enforcement in our area is opposed to it. If you talk to the hospitals, they are opposed to it. If you talk to mental health care, they are opposed to it. We have a huge population in both San Leon and on the island in particular of people who are longshoremen who live paycheck to paycheck. Right now they cash their paycheck and they may go home and get a case of beer and watch a ball game. But if the gambling is, we've learned from other states, if it's convenient, if it's down the block, they'll blow their paycheck. It ruins families, it ruins lives, it creates addictions. I am opposed to casino gambling, and I have voted no. I am on record for that.
Thank you, candidate Wilson. Your response to that, candidate Watkins.
Yeah, thank you for letting me set the record straight on this. First of all, I've accepted no direct contributions from any casino gaming lobbyist during this campaign. I accepted an in-kind contribution from Sands Gambling for an early poll as part of my due diligence whether I'd get in the district. My opponent accepted a direct cash contribution from Sands the first time she ran, and she also accepted a direct contribution from the Kickapoo tribe a month after they announced that they were going to pursue legalizing casino gambling in Texas. Those are the facts. As my opponent also mentioned, it does require a constitutional amendment. Yes, that has to come out of the legislature first, and that depends on how I would vote, but I would be responsive to this district. But ultimately, it doesn't matter whether I personally am for or against casino gambling, because it's going to go on a ballot if it ever gets that far. Leadership is opposed to it right now. There's no chance it's coming out. But when it does, it's going to come to you, and your vote's going to count just as much as my vote. And those are the facts. You get to vote on a constitutional amendment. You get to decide just as much as I get to decide. As far as my opponent saying that Defense PAC, which is part of the casino gambling, I've accepted no contributions from Defense PAC. That money's being spent third party, outside of my campaign. Any of the ads that you've seen that come out that have been negative towards my opponent, they come from Defense PAC. That doesn't come from my campaign. Everything that's come from my campaign is absolutely factual, and it says funded by the Watkins for Texas. Check my record, check my comments online and on Facebook and everything I've put out. I've told nothing but the truth in this campaign, and what you're hearing now is a lot of flip-flopping. Yesterday she said she was opposed to gambling. She said today that she's not opposed to it but could consider
I'm opposed to it.
But one thing that's important that you get by electing me is I've worked in local government. And by working in local government, I understand how local government actually works. And even if it does pass, you can empower cities and counties to put restrictions on gambling, even even if the state and the voters do pass it, you can put roadblocks and constraints and handcuffs on it. You can say, hey, look, if we're going to have it, it's got to meet certain thresholds. It's got to be in certain locations. Cities have zoning power. They can zone casinos out. There's a lot of uses that are allowed at the state level that are not allowed at the local level for that very reason, because local government works. They're responsible to their constituents. I've led in that role. I've done the job, and I've done more than just voting. And I know what it takes to deliver results at the local level, and I'll do that on your behalf.
Thank you for that response. We'll move on to the next question. Candidate Wilson, this is for you. Is it true that anyone who has questions or concerns, about your campaign, they've been blocked?
I want to follow up real quick with what he just said. His consultant is the lobbyist for casino gambling. In-kind contributions mean that you know about it and they put it out on your behalf, so that's ridiculous. I called both of those casinos and I said, I'm not cashing your check. I want you to know I'm voting no, so just know that in mind. And they both told me to go ahead and cash it. And the Kickapoo Nation does not want gambling in Texas because they want to keep it in Oklahoma. So I have on my social media page.
Before you move on, we're going to have to have
Yes,
him
I have
rebut.
14,000 people on my social media page. I have blocked 6. If you are going to be vulgar, if you are going to tell lies, if you are going to post memes about the governor or any other elected official, you use your page to do that. The SCOTUS has already ruled in a unanimous decision in May of 2024 that it is your personal campaign page if, 1, the state does not pay for your page, 2, it is not official duty of your office, and 3, are you designated to speak on behalf of the official state of Texas? My campaign page is mine. I put that up there that my comments are my own. Typically, I warn you and say, this is not allowed on my page. But out of 14,000 people, I have blocked 6 that if I am one of the few, unlike you, who will not respond. I respond to almost every question that comes to me, every comment. You can disagree. That does not get you blocked. I have plenty of civil discourse and disagreement on my page. And if it was about disagreement, I would have blocked many, many people beyond that. I don't mind you coming on and disagreeing. But when you get vulgar, when you get threatening, when you do those things, the Supreme Court has ruled unanimously, I have every right to exercise my First Amendment right, and it is not limiting yours. You can use your page. You can contact my office. 5 of the 6 people I have blocked have my cell phone number. Do they call me on the cell phone? No, they hide behind a page. And so I'm just saying, you can call my office, you can set up an in-person meeting, you can meet with my staff, you can contact me through my public website, you can email me. There is no limitation of how you can get to me about legislation being discussed. But you will not beat up other elected officials, even if I don't like that elected official, you will not use my page for it.
Thank you for that. You have a chance and opportunity to rebuttal those last 2, because I know she mentioned some other comments about the gambling, but if you don't want, you can move on to that rebuttal.
Yeah, I'll try to save everybody some time and just move on. In regards to it's something that I hear across the district. The constituents are tired of being blocked and their comments hidden. If you go across her post right now, you'll see the number of comments don't match the number of comments that are readable. And it may be legal, but it's unethical. The very people that she claims that endorse her, they don't block her. Senator Middleton, you get on his page, he's taking a lot of heat. Governor Abbott, he takes a lot of heat, but he allows people to post it because he knows that it's important for people's voices to be heard. I'll commit to you today to never silence your voice. And as a matter of fact, I heard the same thing at the last forum we were at, and if everybody would be so inclined, we can do a quick poll. Who in this room has been blocked by Representative Wilson? If you can, just raise your hand. We can count. 1, 2, 3. So 50% just
You are
by
lying,
chance.
Patrick Padrone.
50% of the people just happen to be here. I guarantee you it's a lot more than 6 people. There was 10 at the last forum came up to me and told me I've been blocked by her. And those are just the facts. You've got somebody up here telling you they're not going to lie to you while they're lying to your face.
Thank you for that response. I have a final question for Mr. Watkins before we move on to the closings. Bear with me, I'm going to get through this here. You are located in Chambers County. Most of the district is in Galveston County. We have never seen you in McCliff and San Leon, as well as the Bay Shore area. We heavily rely on our elected officials because we have no formal city representation. How will you learn about us and support us given the lack of your presence, even during this time now? Why should we support you if you haven't been present thus far?
So to answer the question, I have been president in the district since I've been running. Like I said, we've knocked 20,000 doors. I've knocked on doors in San Leon, Bay Cliff. But before that, I was a person that came to the restaurants there. I'm a boater. I've been to Noah's Ark. I go to Pier 6. I am in and out of that community. I'm not in and out of that community as an elected official, serving that elected official, because I haven't been asked to do that until now. But I'm there, and I'll continue to be there. But it goes to even beyond just San Leon and Bay Cliff. Whenever you run for an office, you represent everybody in that office. And that's what I fully intend to do. I have deep roots in this district, and I'll be in High Island and Bolivar, just like I'll be available to San Leon and Bay Cliff. I'll be in Galveston. I'll be in Chambers County, Winnie, and Anahuac. I hear that as a concern for all constituents, and that's part of the reason why I'm running. The current opponent has neglected parts of this district, and people have asked me to get in this race to represent them because they're not being represented today.
Thank you for your answer. Candidate Wilson, do you have any rebuttal before we move on to closings?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the clapping.
Yes, I'll repeat. Do you have any rebuttal before we move on to closing?
Yes, I do have a rebuttal. Anyone that follows me, anyone that knows anything about me, know I show up for big things and small things. I show up for ribbon cuttings in garages. Dave and I have put 60,000 miles on our truck every single year, going back and forth to each county. We are retired. We do it full time. We show up at your big events. We love that. That's our favorite parts of the job, is seeing your faces when I show up to a ribbon cutting in a garage with 7 people and their state rep is standing there. We take great joy and delight. It takes very little time away from what we do, which is be retired. So I love that. I do want to answer that each and every member of both counties, every single time, and we don't use taxpayer-funded lobbyists. The sheriff can come, the commissioners can come, the police chief come, the elected officials can come. Anyone can come to talk to their state representative. Those are not taxpayer-funded lobbyists. Saying and defining those people as one are not. They are an elected official, and I would much rather hear directly from my county judge on a thing such as uniform hours or something like that than I would an Austin lobbyist that's being hired by them. That way I know the nuances. That's the way I know what amendments may be accepted if we get into trouble and can't get it out of committee. Those relationships are valuable. The unincorporated areas of our county, I grew up in a little town, and I am not about to neglect them. And anyone from San Leon, Bay Cliff, Bolivar Peninsula can tell you I show up routinely for everything. I donate to your charities that offer over there. I'm there for a hug. I'm there for a listen. I'm there for, if you ask me come to your house and do a coffee. I am readily available. And I also want my opponent to commit that he will answer all of your questions and comments on social media, that he won't leave them blank. It's one thing to just leave your comments blank there. It's another thing to address your concerns. I get frequently people going, hey, is this really you or is this a staff member? No, it's really me.
Thank you for that rebuttal. We're going to go ahead and move into closing statements now. Being that you started with the opening statements, we'll start with you, Candidate Watkins, with closing statements. You have 2 minutes.
I think you've heard enough from both of the candidates tonight. We've had a healthy back and forth. I'll try to save everybody some time on their Friday night and just close with, I hope that you've had your questions answered. I hope that I've earned your support. I hope that I've earned your trust, and I would like to ask for your vote starting February 17th. And if you don't make it in for early voting, make it by Election Day on March 3rd. I look forward to serving you as your next state representative. Thank you for being here tonight.
Candidate Wilson, you can begin.
Yes. You know me. I have been here. I didn't just show up in October. I've been involved in the political process in Texas since 1984. I've built and led the party. I stand on a lifetime of experience and leadership in advocating for the policies that are contained in the Republican Party platform. I've been a precinct chairman, an SD chairman, an SREC member. I served 3 terms on the State Board of Education. These are all volunteer positions with no pay. I delivered real results for Republicans well before I delivered them to you as your state representative. I have a lifetime of sacrificial services with no title in front of my name. I have protected the taxpayers. I have advocated for principles of the RPT. I already had my career. This is not it. I taught school children for 38 years. If you want a career politician, you will get one if you elect my opponent. He is already raking in large amounts of in-kind contributions from Chinese gambling interest and is lying to you, the voters, about my voting record. He is a politician who believes in the entire country. It's amassed $175 million. Millions were then paid out of the fund to America's Holdings, of which he is the vice president of it, to build luxury developments. Less than 2% of that fund has gone to teachers, classrooms, and children. I'm 100% against blurred lines, insider deals, and public institution being used in ways that the taxpayers never agreed to. We don't need politicians who make careers out of protecting the systems they have financially benefited from. I have a record of results, I've kept my promises, and I thank you for allowing me to represent you in Austin. It's been my honor and my privilege, and I would be honored to have your vote in this election.
Thank you for your response. Let's give a round of applause, another round of applause for both candidates, candidate Watkins and candidate Wilson, both running. Thank you both again. We're going to go ahead and reset for the next race, which is County Judge Mark Henry and Chris Kennard. Everyone can actually take a break. We're going to have a 5-minute intermission before we get ready to start with the next race.
one, too.
All good? Sorry, I didn't want to like steal your water from you.
Oh, no, that's good. I'm glad it was like because it was like to not be able to hear what I was saying.
Yeah, and I like realized like as we speak, like, oh yeah, I've done this. I know how easy it is to get dry mouth. So.
Yeah, yes, because it's definitely getting to that point. Oh, yeah. I'm good with the bathroom. I definitely need this. I'd say that other one because I love when people write in person. Everyone, please prepare to take your seats. We'll be starting back up in just a moment.
Is this good?
We'll be starting momentarily, so everyone please get ready to prepare to take their seats.
There's a hole here. Yeah. Well, it doesn't go in. It doesn't boil the gold. So if I do, that's okay. Thank you. Put it over here.
This is a good campaign right here. This is the mayor.
All right, we're going to go ahead and begin. Let's go ahead and start by giving a round of applause for our candidate that's here tonight for County Judge, candidate Chris Kennard. We'll start by letting you open with your speech. Again, you're going to receive 2 minutes to do so.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. My name is Chris Kennard. I'm running for Galveston County Judge. I was born in Houston. I am the daughter of a naval pilot. After he finished his service in the Navy, he went into the reserves and moved our family to Beaumont. I spent most of my life there. My dad started an aviation insurance business company in Beaumont that outgrew Beaumont in my high school years and moved us to Dallas. And I finished high school and went to college and met my husband in Dallas. We married and started having children. We had our first son there, and he was in law school and a Dallas police officer. Then he went into the FBI, and we started moving, and we started having children every state we moved to. And so after the third one, we figured out that we had to, but we continued to move, and we moved 6 times. And toward the end of his career, they allowed us to come back to wherever we wanted, and we wanted to come home to Texas, and specifically Galveston County. So we ended up back here in 2004, and he ended his career here in the Texas City office, and he ran and became the district clerk. And I went to work for my dad's office when I was 13, and every summer, every spring break, and I learned everything in that office. There was no chance for me to do anything else but work. He wasn't going to have, his discipline was that I worked every summer, every spring break, and I learned everything in that office from the ground up, filing files, everything. And I did that until I think we got married. And then when we were moving around, I went to work for an oral surgeon and learned everything there for 4 years. And when we moved home, I went to work for a larger practice of 3 doctors, and they had a large enough office with 25 people that I could do pretty much anything in that office, and they decided the best place for me was marketing and PR. And I became the face of the practice and would go around to the whole area, the metropolitan area, all the way up to Hobby Airport and all the way down through Chambers County. and I would be the face of the practice. And I would make sure all the dentists were happy, and I would troubleshoot, and anything that they needed, they would call me. And I retired and became John's full-time campaign manager through all of his re-elections. And I was entrenched in the policies, in the local politics, and so I've been entrenched for 14 years.
Thank you, Candidate Kennard. We'll move into the first question,
Okay.
and I want to start with this question here, being that your opponent is not here tonight. What are your thoughts after they were invited and chose not to show?
Well, I think it's insulting to the citizens of Galveston County that he would not want to come and talk to these people and be here, let them ask their questions, and be a part of this.
Thank you for that. We'll go ahead and start with your first question.
Okay?
We want to start a little bit about your opening statement that you just mentioned. How would you work across party lines to accomplish your goals if elected?
Well, I don't even think it's about party at this point. An elected official, I'm not a legislator. An elected official at this point serves everybody. And I want the best for Galveston County, and that is exactly what I would be put in place to do, is to make Galveston County the best, make the best decisions. And I'm a bridge builder. I unite people. I am not divisive. So I think I could bring people together and make the best decisions.
Thank you for that response. We'll move into the next question here. What is your position on the use of city resources for recreational boat safety inspections, and how would you balance public safety and property rights?
Well, certainly those are absolutely things that are necessary. We need, they have to be permitted. There are rules. Those are things I have to look into when I'm, and have a better answer for that. I'm not.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question for you. If elected, what strengths or experience would you bring to the role of Galveston County? You explained a little bit earlier about that. Let's dive a little bit more into your experience a little bit, and tell us what you would bring to the role.
Well, what I would bring to the role is I would pick the best and the brightest department heads. I would retain them, and I would increase morale with the employees. We have a problem with employee retention in this county, particularly department heads. We need competitive pay for existing employees as well as hiring new employees. So we need to make sure that we can pay, with the elected officials, we need to give them the funds to pay it well enough when they hire new people. I'm so nervous. Sorry.
Take your time. We'll go ahead and move to the next question.
Okay.
This is again from the community. What is your position on drainage improvements and flood mitigation efforts in Galveston County? Do you have a response for that?
I do. The master drainage plan hasn't been updated in over 30 years. In that time, Galveston County has grown significantly. Development patterns have changed, and storms have become more intense. A plan that has worked decades ago no longer reflects today's realities. Flooding doesn't respect city limits, county lines, or neighborhoods. And there are plans to update the drainage infrastructure in 2 steps, starting with Dickinson Bayou, that watershed, and then the Clear Creek watershed.
Thank you. Public trust and ethical leadership are important concerns for many voters here in Galveston County. Given that your husband holds elected office, and you have been involved in local political circles. How would you ensure independence, transparency, and avoid potential conflicts of interest if elected?
Well, I would work with the elected officials, not against them, but I would let every independently elected official run his own office, their or her own office, as they see fit, without any interference from the county judge. It's not that way now. The county judge now has a chief of staff who, if you don't use first of all, employee retention and morale, with the pay area. The trust issue, it's all about trust now. They do not trust the county judge, the commissioners. There are backdoor deals, things are done in the dark, there's walking quorums, there is consent agendas that are going on. We have the trust has been eroded, and we need to get back to transparency. Things are done in the dark erodes trust. Things are done in sunlight makes trust blossom, and sunlight also disinfects. So we need to bring that back. This is not about party anymore. It's about trust. It doesn't matter. There are so many things that have been going on, and we need to give the county seat back to the people. It belongs to the citizen. I'm not here. I'm just the vehicle for this. This belongs to the citizen. It's the citizen's house.
Thank you for that response. Speaking of Commissioner's Court, you talked about the trust. We want to also ask, how will you work to improve the communications between the Commissioner's Court to make it more effective?
Commissioner's Court with the citizens, or Commissioner's Court with who?
How would you work to improve communication and effectiveness with Commissioner's Court? I'm assuming that it would be for the citizens.
The citizens. Well, transparency would be the biggest key. And we would do that by, we already have it live streamed for Commissioner's Court, but there are certain things that should not be on consent agenda, and only certain things should be on consent agenda, and so we would curtail that. We wouldn't do as many backdoor meetings as there are. Everything that we do, most of everything that we do should be seen by the people. The workshops are seen by the people. Any citizen should be able to come into Commissioner's Court and see what goes on. So.
Thank you for that. We'll move on to a final couple of questions for you that we have. Have you previously managed or overseen a large-scale emergency response or major public operation? If so, can you please describe a little bit of that experience?
Other than my father's company, which grew out of the small Beaumont area into the Dallas area, I have not. But then my opponent didn't manage a county before he was elected county judge either in 2010. So I can learn, but my opponent can never regain his integrity. So
Thank you for that response. Now, if elected, what qualities will you look for in a chief of staff? And what would you be looking for in the hiring process for senator staff positions?
Well, for one thing, I'm going to look for a person that I know that is forthright, who has integrity, who is honorable. I would like someone who is a Christian that works alongside me and has the same character as I do. I happen to have somebody in mind that I think would meet those qualifications. There will be no private business. He will have no private business other than working for the county on county time. So that will be a must. And as far as selecting people for department heads, I will seek out the best and the brightest. I have a transition team already selected, and where we would be ready to go on day one. I will retain my people. I know that there has been a revolving door of people in this county with this administration, but my people will want to stay.
Thank you for that. I have one final question for you. Can you please explain how county judges assemble the budget for the county department, sheriff, and district attorney?
Well, it takes a team. It's not done by one person, and there is a team that meet together and go over the budget, and I believe every department head comes to the team and relays their needs. And as that team meets, they assemble the budget for each individual department or office. And so that's how that works. I have not done it for the county, but as I understand it, that is how that works. Each office holder meets with the budget team, and they assemble the budget for that office, and then it all gets put together.
Thank you for your response. I know we're probably going to have more questions coming in because we are live streaming right now, so
Right.
we will be presenting those questions to you.
Okay.
At this moment, we want to go ahead and move into your closing speech.
Okay, all right. Well, like I said, I am just the vehicle. This is the citizens' house, and I didn't seek this out. It was not a spur-of-the-moment decision, but it was one that I felt necessary. Over the last 15 years, I have watched a pattern develop of domination and intimidation by my opponent, of seeking out good, upstanding office holders, elected officials that you all have elected, taking them out by funding other people to run against them, and funding them with so much money that they couldn't succeed. And he maintains control, and now he has quite a little cabal. And if you don't use his chief of staff to manage their campaign or your campaign, you have a target on your back. I have a target on my back. The district clerk has a target on his back. The treasurer had a target on his back. He got the treasurer's office abolished, and that was a statewide amendment, constitutional amendment. Statewide, people around the state voted for our treasurer to be abolished, and it happened. We have no independently elected treasurer in our county anymore. So all of those duties went to the county clerk. I don't know if everybody knows that, but our county clerk now functions as our treasurer, with the exception of one thing, the payroll. So the payroll for all the county employees was pulled out of that, and it's now with the county judge. So the county judge controls all the payroll for all the county employees. So he can pay who he wants for whatever he wants. And that was sneaky, because not everybody knows that. And it's hidden in his budget somewhere. So he can do whatever he wants with that. And that's your money. That's your tax money. There's two more things that I need that are very important that I want to mention. The Fire Association called me and asked me to come and speak to them. They wanted to meet me. They support me. And it's all the fire departments in all of the county, and they're all volunteer except for one, which is Galveston. Their budget comes from the county. They get paid $22,000 a year. And that is for some of the smaller ones like Bay Cliff, Hitchcock, San Leon, Santa Fe, the Peninsula, Bolivar. That's their whole budget for the whole year. They buy uniforms with that. They buy all their equipment. My opponent pulled all that money away. He took every bit of it away. And I don't know what he did with it. Nobody knows. It's in his budget somewhere. And is he giving it to his friends? Is he taking it for himself? We don't know. But they don't have a budget. They don't have any money. So they were asking me, if you win, will you reinstate that? And I said, yes, absolutely, we will. And we hope that we can do more, because they don't get anything. Galveston is paid, and the larger ones, League City, Friendswood, they get subsidized. But look at the smaller communities. That's outrageous. That's obscene to me. It's about trust. He has eroded his trust. I know I'm getting the wave here. And one other thing that I think is important. My opponent marries people, which comes with the job. It will be given to me too. I don't want it. It's not a thing that I need to do. But I want you to know that he pads his pay with this. And I got a Freedom of Information, and I calculated over just the last 4 years, he makes a minimum of $60,000 extra per year to add to his pay, which is already a lot, just by doing weddings per year. Now, he doesn't pay rent. He charges $400 per wedding. He doesn't pay rent. He uses the county secretary. And that's just one thing. That's just one extra thing. But he's taking $22,000 from our fire departments. And then he's charging, that's just a minute little thing. There's more. But he's the second highest paid county judge in the state. And it may be first highest paid according to this year, because we don't know. But you shouldn't get rich off of this job. I won't. Base pay, whatever it is, for me. You should not get rich off of the backs of your citizens. I may not know everything about this job, but like I said, they send you to judge school. You go to all these schools, all these classes. I'll do everything. I'll be a full-time job. I will go to all the conferences. I will do everything to learn. I will go to all the citizens' organizational meetings. I will be out there meeting them, going to all of the meetings, meeting with the citizens with all the different cities. I am eager to do this. You don't see him here. He doesn't come to any of the forums. I've been to everything, and I have been for 14 years. I've sat on the boards just like Jennifer Ott, because we're public servants, we're not politicians. We don't get rich off of this, do we, Jen? It's not about that. It's not about the money. It's about being a public servant, because I don't walk this earth for longevity. I walk this earth for eternity, because I have to answer to someone else eventually.
Thank you for that. Again, let's give another round of applause for our candidate, Chris Kennard, again for district clerk.
Is that it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, you guys, for county judge. Let's go ahead and move on to our next race. You're done? Okay. I was just, you wanted to stay up there a little longer. Oh, no, you're all good.
I have to get a launching pad.
All right, we're going to move on to our last race for district clerk. Just give us one moment as we reset. Yes. And thank you everyone again for your patience and for your participation tonight. We'll be wrapping this up momentarily after the last race. Last but not least.
The most exciting, save the most exciting for the last, clerk.
We'll go ahead and begin. Let's again, everyone, can we give a round of applause for our last candidate for district clerk, Mr. John Kennard. We'll get ready to begin with your opening statement.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to be short. I know it's Friday night and people got places to go. My opening statement is I feel like I'm very well qualified for this job. I've been in the justice system for 40 years. I started out as a Dallas police officer when I was 19, while I went through college at University of Texas of Arlington and law school at SMU. So I have an accounting degree, I have a law degree, and I practiced law for 2 years. I was admitted to the bar, State Bar of Texas in 1982 and have remained so since that time. And I was elected as your Galveston County District Clerk 13 years ago and have served in that capacity ever since. I've improved a lot of different things. I've grown the passport program from $0 to $450,000 per year. I've restored the Republic of Texas records. I've restored the immigration records, which 100 years worth created an immigration portal, so you can go on the Galveston County District Clerk website and check. It's got all sorts of search qualities to it, but you can go check relatives' names. It doesn't cost anything. If you want a copy, it's $1 a page. So I think my accomplishments speak for themselves. As I said, after I left law school, as my wife said, I joined the FBI for 27 years and we traveled the country. The way they do it in the FBI is first office was New Orleans, and they said, John, if you want to get paid, you better be in New Orleans in 90 days because that's where your paycheck's going to be. So we moved around a lot, and we had a lot of experiences. And I do enjoy the district clerk's office. I like to work on projects, and we've had a number of those projects I think we've been very successful on.
Thank you for that. We'll move into the questions now. I started with this with the other candidates, so I'll ask you the same.
Okay.
What are your thoughts tonight about your opponent not being here at this forum after they were invited?
I will echo what was said earlier, that it shows no desire to do the job. If you're not going to show up for this, are you going to show up and work at the actual job? So it's not very impressive. You owe it to the citizens to come here and answer questions and tell them what you're going to do. If they're going to vote for you, if they want to get your vote, they need to know what you think. And an empty place doesn't do that.
Thank you for your response on that. We'll move into the community questions. What principles guide your decision-making when facing pressure from donors, party leaders, or public opinion?
You say donors?
Yes.
District clerk, and I'll say this, we've already had 3 exciting offices. District clerk, really everything that you do is guided by what's in the law books. You don't really have any discretion to do anything. You don't make any policy except for on some things like how you process passport applications. So I don't anticipate, I've not seen that pressure. So it really doesn't impact the district clerk.
Thank you for that. What specific qualities, skills, or experience make you uniquely qualified for this position?
Well, I'll repeat what I said earlier. I mean, I have a law degree, I have an accounting degree. The office has a lot of moving parts. I mean, district clerk does. There's a lot of technical issues, and you have to know what to do. And my opponent, because I've only seen her once at any meeting or whatever, is going to try to do it on the taxpayer dime, learn as she goes. And that doesn't work. I mean, we handle a lot of money. One of the things I do is the registry, which controls $2 million of children that are under 18 and they got a judgment. I hold it for them, I invest it for them, and when they turn 18, normally we'll return the money over to them. So there's a lot of moving parts to this job that you really have to have experience. Either you can work at the district clerk's office for a number of years, get the experience, or you can have degrees and training that teach you how to deal with these things.
Thank you for that response. We're going to ask another question that we asked some of the other candidates as well. As of today, who is your largest campaign donor, and how do you ensure transparency in your campaign finance reporting?
Well, of course, I do all my campaign finance reports. In fact, should I mention it, Chris? Mark Henry filed a complaint against me with the Ethics Committee about 4 months ago saying I had not filed my campaign finance reports. I knew I had, so I got them out, showed them, and they were all file stamped. So I'm very in tune, and I know the need to file for this. My biggest donor is probably only $500 since I've been in 13 years. So there's not a lot of money that comes into the district clerk position. It's probably $5,000 a year, maybe, if that much. So you don't really have any money issues or conflict of interest issues.
Thank you for that response. I'm going to ask you the next question here by the community members. Would you support legislation to prohibit the use of taxpayer funds for hiring lobbyists at the state level? Why or why not?
I definitely would do that. It's not a district clerk's position, but I've seen lobbyists, public lobbyists who have lobbied against the interest of the clerks, the county clerk, the district clerk, the treasurer, and you shouldn't pay public money for a lobbyist.
Thank you for that. You mentioned some of this in your opening statement as well as some of your experience statement, but we're going to make sure that we ask this as well from the community members. How long have you been involved with the Republican Party, and what roles or leadership positions have you held within that party?
I've been a Republican my whole life. I voted one time in a Democratic primary for your husband, and who was a sheriff, because I was in charge of the FBI office here, and so I had to deal with it, and that was the best candidate, even though he was Democrat. I seek out the person that's the best person. It may not be of the same party, but for me, I've always been Republican. And my opponent, we don't know, because she's 40 years old and she's never voted in a primary. So we don't know. She could be a Martian. I don't know. Because, she's never voted. She's voted in one general election. So while we're talking about party, I'll answer that for her.
Thank you for your response. I'm going to move into the last question here, and if you can, if there's any questions that are coming in from the live stream, if you want to pass that up to me, you can do so, or if anyone else in the audience have any other questions to ask of you. But this next question, again, is on some of the policies that we see in place. What is your position on the use of city resources for recreational boat safety inspections, and how would you balance public safety with your property rights?
Well, that's not something the district clerk does, but we've got to have regulation of boating. It's a dangerous thing to do, and we don't want to. I never want to overregulate, but there's got to be some regulation.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions that we would like to ask of our candidate tonight?
Does your opponent live in the district?
No. She lives in a house in Brazoria County, but the residency requirements for seeking an elected position are very open in Texas. And if you say you intend to move to Galveston someday, but we have people that personally know her and know the kids, and they've told me that, yeah, the kids sleep there every night. So if you vote for her, you're going to get a Brazoria district clerk. Well, that's fine. So, I'm glad you asked that.
Did you hear the question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you hear the question?
Yeah, I heard her.
Perfect.
She did a posting the other day to finally, because I don't know what her qualifications are, and she said she's a single mom and she's a long-term educator. And that's all she said. That was her only qualifications for the job. Yes, sir.
You said earlier that Judge Mark Henry filed an ethics
Yes, he did.
against you. I know that different elected offices have different responsibilities. But as an elected official, have you ever heard of one elected official filing an ethics complaint on somebody not even involved in their job, not running for their position?
I have never heard. That was very rare. And I mean, Mark Henry did commit perjury. He had to sign a sworn affidavit saying that he had personal knowledge that I had not filed. Not that I didn't file. He just said he had personal knowledge. And if you're going to say you have personal knowledge, pick up the phone and call John Kennard. So the first thing I did is send him a text, and I said, Mark, if you want to see my confidential my campaign finance reports, just call me. I'll show them to you. No response. So yeah, I've not seen that. Normally, since I've been here, the elected officials try to work together in unison. And that's the way it's got to be. As Chris said, that's what the objective is. It's not the other. Thank you.
We have another question here. We're going to go around with the mic. So, just 1 second. We're coming with the microphone. There you go.
Oh, thank you. Who do you think sicked Wayne Dolcefino on you? And do you want to explain a little bit about that situation?
Well, in case you don't know, I've been followed, they told me, since November. They knew they were going to run somebody against me. And so they waited one day when I took my lovely wife of 43 years out to pizza. Now, I will apologize, but we're going to Mr. Gaddy's. And they came and put the camera in our face and said, are you eating on the government dime? And I said, no, I have vacation. Elected officials are different. They don't really have vacation or work hours or whatever. And then I was putting one of her signs up. I'm the sign installer. Hopefully you appreciate the product. I've worked hard on it, and I put up my last one today, and they came up, and Wayne's put the camera in my face and said, you're doing this on the company dime, on the county dime. And I said, no, I have vacation, Wayne. I've worked here a long time. I can do whatever I want to do on vacation. So that did not work out very well for him.
Is that all the questions for tonight? We have one more question.
Will you ever take your wife to Mr. Gaddy's again?
No. No. And I momentarily forgot Freddie Poor's name when I was mentioned. That's the one I crossed over, the only one as a Democrat to vote for him, because he's really one of the best guys, best sheriffs we've ever had. So, yes, but no more Mr. Gaddy. I love it, but...
Okay, if there's no further questions, we're going to go ahead and prepare for your closing statement.
Yeah, I know it's Friday night. As I said in my opening statement, I have a lot of professional degrees, but I have accomplished things for the county. Like I say, the passport business went from zero to $450,000 a year for the county. That's free money. It's not encumbered or anything that every year I earn. How do I do that? Number one, I push the passport program. I do passport days with the local congressman, Randy Weber, and we're the only passport processing facilities that does not require you to have an appointment. You can walk in any days, anytime you want to without an appointment. And people like that. I've extended the hours for the parents. If you have a child under 16, both parents have to be present to apply for the passport. It's hard to do during the middle of the day. So I extended the hours so they could come in before or after and get the passport processed. I really like the restoration projects. It's the neatest thing ever. We get every document that's filed, we get $30 in restoration fees. And these books cost about $7,000 to restore, but they're beautiful. It's like I say, we have the Republic of Texas, the immigration records we scanned. I also, one of the things I do is I take the records in, I process them, I store them, and then I disseminate. So we were one of the first people to start with e-filing. E-filing is filing things over the computer. So when you do that, that makes that document almost instantly available. So I did that, but what I went further than that, and I scanned 15 years worth of past records. So we would have a window of, it was 35 years that you could get that document instantly. And you can do that by going to the Galveston County District Clerk website and put the information in. And once again, there's no charge for that. So I'm proud of my accomplishments. I think I have the background for this job, and I've enjoyed. One of the things I enjoy most, and I figured this out, is on Monday morning is jury. We get 400 jurors in every Monday morning for the last 13 years, and I'm there to greet just about every one of them. Rarely have I missed it. And that means I've had 208,000 jurors I've greeted since I've been the district clerk. So, and I see a lot of people I haven't seen in a number of years, and I renew acquaintances, but it's something I enjoy doing. I know they appreciate it, because if I'm not there, they're going to get on the elevator and go up to the 5th floor. There's no 5th floor. So anyway, thank you for allowing me to come today.
Thank you for all of your responses. Again, you guys, we're going to give one more big round of applause for our candidate for district clerk, Mr. John Kenoy. And before we wrap up tonight, I would like to have the organizer come back up to the front so that we can do a closing.
Well, what a great evening we've had hearing from all of the candidates. Thank you again for all the candidates that came. We appreciate your time and your investment. We know you all have put out your heart and souls in these questions. Some of them were easy, some of them were not.
Yes.
But thank you again for coming. We, the people of Galveston County, want to hear from our candidates. We want to hear from our elected officials, and this was just one forum and hopefully we'll have some more. Thank you to KGTX 7 News, a new news station here in Galveston County. And thank you to Sam West, our wonderful moderator. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And again, give yourselves a big round of applause because it's really important for community members to come out. This is a Friday night, and everyone has come out here to hear from all of the candidates. So it's really exciting to see everyone. So give yourselves a round of applause for hearing from the candidates and presenting such great questions. Those were a lot of good questions they sent in. And with that being said, I want to again thank KGTX 7 News, everyone that's live streaming right now, that's watching this on live stream. We're probably going to get a lot of more other questions that are going to come in, and we'll make sure that each one of those candidates are given those questions so that they can properly respond. Again, thank you guys. I enjoyed being here. This was really fun. And thank you again for putting on this amazing event.
Our pleasure. Good night.
As you guys are on the way out, please be safe. There's a weather advisory out right now, so please be careful going home.